Good day everyone, my name is John Patrick D. Bancoro and today I'll be discussing about the evolution of natural selection. Darwin has a book entitled On the Origin of Species that is published in 1859. It is the process by which organisms change over time as a result of change in heritable physical or behavioral traits. The change will help the organism to adapt in its environment. I think that evolution by natural selection is one of the best theories in the history. It is supported by the proof evidences of wide variety in scientific disciplines that may be include geology, planology, and development biology. This theory has two main points. It is said by Brain Richmond, the curator of human origins at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Modification of population by its natural selection that some traits were favored in an environment over others according to him. To simplify it, it is to simplify it is the theory can be described as a descent with modification. It was said by Brianna Pobina. She is an anthropologist and educator at the Smithsonian Institution National Museum of Natural History in Washington, who specializes in study of human origins. The theory is describing a survival of the fittest but can be misleading, Pobiner said. Here, fitness refers not an organism's strength or athletic activity, but rather the ability to survive and also reproduce. It was found that many people may have trouble finding a mate because of rapidly changing social technological advances that are evolving faster than humans. The theory of evolution is one of the great intellectual revolutions of human history, drastically changing our preparation of the world of our place in it. The process of natural selection is from one generation to the next. Darwin have called the struggle for existence. It will be favor individuals with some variations over others and thereby change the frequency of traits within the population. In order for natural selection to operate on a trait, the trait must process heritable variation and must confer an advantage to those individuals who leave more offsprings are called mutation, migration, and genetic drift. First, there is variation in traits. For example, some beetles are green and some are brown. It shows the evolution due to the color of beetles. We will see different colors based on natural selection. It may be because of their mutation or maybe it's because of their migration. Second, there is differential reproduction. Since the environment can support the unlimited growth of population, because not all organisms or individuals are get to reproduce in their potential. Just for example, the green beetles tend to get eaten by birds and survive to reproduce less often than brown beetles do. It was said that the organisms in this world, as not all, will be reproduced as many as they can because other species can tend to eat the organisms. They tend to eat the organisms which is smaller than them. Third, there is heredity. It means that the surviving organisms have a baby organisms because the trait has a genetic basis. And last one is the end result. It tackles about the more advantageous trait. It will allow a particular organism to have an offspring that will have or that will become more common in the population. And if the process continues, eventually All individuals in population will have this trait. Variation among individuals is a fundamental requirement for evolutionary change. Given that it was both critical to his theory of natural selection and directly counter to much contemporary thinking. It should not be surprising that Darwin expended considerable effort in attempting to establish the variation. He also emphasized the fact that some organisms, namely relatives, especially parents and their offspring, are more similar to each other than to unrelated members of the population. Darwin saw that overproduction and limited resources create a struggle for existence in which some organisms will succeed and most will not. He also recognized that organisms in population differ from one another in terms of many traits that tend to pass on from parent to offspring. Darwin's brilliant insight was to combine these two factors and to realize that success in the struggle for existence, it would not be determined by the chance but instead would be biased by some of the heritable differences that exist among organisms. And for the summary, Darwin's theory of the evolution has fundamentally changed the direction of future scientific thought. The core of Darwin's theory is natural selection of a process that occurs over successive generations and is defined as differential reproduction of genotypes. Another is natural selection requires heritable variation in a given trait, and a differential survival and reproduction associated with possession of the trait. Selection acts on the frequency of traits and can take the form of stabilizing, directional, or diversifying selection.